This is an introduction to an entomology class for children 6 to 12. This is part 1. I've been teaching classes here at Oak Point Park Nature Preserve for several years. We have lightning bug classes. And one time this was farmland, and that's considered a monoculture. And that means you have one plant, you probably have a lot of different pesticides and herbicides used, so that limits the number of bugs. But many years ago, the city of Plano bought this property and they just let it go back to nature. When you let things go back to nature, you have a lot of new types of plants. During definitely the spring and summertime, there are thousands and thousands of species of insects out there. That gives you a great opportunity to learn about these bugs and also entomology. The class that we're having here at Oak Point Park Nature Preserve is on entomology. That's why this is a wonderful opportunity for kids to learn about entomology. There's plenty of bugs out here for us to find at some point, but what we do want to do is learn about entomology first, and then once the kids get out there, they'll know more about what they're finding. Entomology is the study of bugs, but more specifically an insect. Does everyone know what an insect is? What is an insect?
Like a spider.
Okay, that's more like a bug. And this is what we're going to learn today, is what an insect is compared to what a spider. But what is amazing about what they're called invertebrates. In an invertebrate, we have a skeleton underneath our body, right? Do you understand? We have bones that we can break. Well, insects are just the opposite. Insects So y'all might have looked at this. This one is the one I actually caught in Texas. So we have really big bugs here. The outside is called the exoskeleton. So you want to just tap on it. Just tap on it. You want to tap on it? It's creeping you out?
Is it live?
No, it's dead. I'll show you live ones in a second. So our skeleton is on the inside of our body. Insect skeleton is on the outside of their body. Now, what makes an insect? Okay, you said spiders. Well, spiders are sort of like an insect, only there's certain characteristics that all insects are like. And there's about 1 million different types of insects that are out there. So is 1 million a big number?
Have you ever heard of a million before? Well, that's how many different insects there are. There's a million different insects out there like this. Different kinds. And if you look at my boxes, you go, boy, that looks different than that one, and that one, and that one. Right? You call it hornet, and see, that's a type of insect. So what makes an insect an insect? There's a few what we call characteristics. An insect has, if you were to count the number of legs, how many legs do you think this has? Okay, count it. 1,
6.
6. So you see 6? Do you see 6?
Arms to catch its food.
You're right, they are arms, but the front ones sort of act like that. But all insects, but if you look at an insect, there's 6. Now, if you look, and this is sort of confusing, what is that in the middle of this?
A tarantula?
Right. So how many legs does a tarantula have?
8.
8. So now the front ones are sort of confusing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like to catch its food.
Yeah, it's like
this
yeah, it helps feed it. So those aren't technically legs; they're more of something that throws the food into their mouths. So yeah, you've got 8. Now, of all the invertebrates, which is what we're talking about on these insects and spiders, they are not. The concept is that's the most popular animal in the whole world are these things. Whereas people and dogs and cats are just a small percentage of what's on this planet. So these type of bugs, which include the spiders, are the most popular animals on this planet. Yes?
What is that, a locust?
Yes, that's sort of like a grasshopper, like a locust, right? And what would that be
Those things
then?
are huge.
What would you call that? An insect or a spider?
Insects.
Right. Okay, do we have the idea of what an insect is? Okay, so there's the legs are really important. So whenever you look at what's in my containers over here, you go, okay, how many legs does that have? And how many legs does it need to have? 6. That's correct. How many legs does a spider have?
8.
Right. Okay. So that is one of the things that you can look at and says, okay, that's an insect and that's not a spider. So what is the other thing that you need to look at? A spider, and once again, it's sort of confusing when you look at the spider, but its head and its middle section where the legs are all together. Whereas on insects, there's usually a head, a middle section, and then the back end called the abdomen. So an insect has 3 sections to it. And what is that? A head, and the middle section is called a thorax, and the end section is called an abdomen. Whereas on a spider, it's called actually a cephalothorax, that's the head in the middle section. So when you look at these insects, you go, okay, I can see the head, I can see where the legs are connected, and then that back section is the back end. So there's 3 parts there, and 3 parts. Okay, what are those 3 parts now? Head. Can y'all say head?
Abdomen.
Abdomen, right. In the middle section. Thorax, right. So you got 3 sections. So what I'm going to do in a section, in a second, is that you have some, this is sort of like, I'm going to give you something to mark with. I want y'all to mark, because these are all insects, and on these pages, they're just different types of insects. And I want you to sort of circle the head, circle that thorax for me, and then circle the abdomen. So I'll get you something in a second. So the other thing that you look at is that there's going to be a variety of different types of antennae. A lot of insects actually have wings and stuff too. So that's what, but there's so many different variations. The most important thing 3 body segments, head, thorax, abdomen, and then 3 pairs of legs, totaling 6. So now I'm going to get you something to draw with, and because I want to make sure we've got that concept that entomology is a study of insects, and that's what this class is all about. And we're going to, if you take all the classes, we're going to learn a lot of different things about
Now, insects belong to a large group of animals called arthropods. Arthropods are characterized by having a tough external skeleton, as I have shown here, and by having a segmented body, and by having paired jointed appendages, be they antennae, legs, or whatnot. Now, the next time that you look at either an insect or a lobster, you can see these characteristics because both lobsters and insects are arthropods. Now, it is really not at all difficult to separate out the insects from all of the other arthropods because insects always have 3 body regions, a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. They have 6 legs, and they have 1 pair of antennae. And there are no other arthropods that have this particular combination of characteristics. For example, you people also deal quite extensively with spiders and mites and ticks. Now, these animals have only 2 body regions rather than 3. And likewise, as far as the legs are concerned, they always have, in the adult stage, they have 8 legs. So it is really quite easy to tell these 2 groups apart. Now back to the insects. The antennae of insects are sense organs that are used for detecting danger, for locating food, and in general to sound out the environment. The head also bears 1 pair of compound eyes. Now these compound eyes are made up of many individual facets, or little eyes. Eyes of this kind are very good for detecting danger. Now the head also contains mouth parts which may be either chewing or sucking, as we shall see later. The midsection or thorax, in addition to 6 legs, likewise bears typically 4 wings or 2 pairs. Now I say typically because there are exceptions to the rule. For example, fleas and lice have no wings whatsoever. Flies and mosquitoes have only 1 pair of wings. Termites and ants have only wings in the reproductive cast, and then just for a short period of time. Now the abdomen bears a majority of the spiracles or breathing pores. Now these are simply openings in the body wall that connect inside with tiny tubes that run all through the insect's body, and this is the way that they breathe. Now the abdomen also bears organs for reproduction. In the case of female insects, this may well include an ovipositor, which is a device normally used for laying eggs. But in the case of many bees and wasps, female bees and wasps, this has been modified into a stinger, as some of you have probably found from experience.
So don't hit it harder, it's going to fall apart. So I want you to touch the abdomen on this. Would you, just, which part is the abdomen? Right. Okay, which part is the head? The head. Here you go.
It's kind of
Okay, which part is the thorax? Exactly. I'm going to do another one. We'll get to the good.
Can we do a wasp?
Let me see what about. Actually, I do it. I'm going to fall apart. It's not skin. Okay. Okay, so I want you to touch the the abdomen.
Don't touch.
Okay, the abdomen. No, the abdomen is where? Right. Okay, now go ahead and touch the head. Where's the head? Right. Okay, you do the thorax. Where's the thorax at? Right. Okay, I'm going to do one more.
Please don't do a wasp.
Okay, so we've done that. We've done that part of learning about what an insect is and what is an insect. How many legs?
6.
6. How many parts of their body are there?
3.
And what are they?
The abdomen, head,
Very good. Head, thorax, and abdomen, if you want to go in the right order. Now, once again, if we were to find every different type of insect out there, how many insects did I say we could possibly find? 1 million, right. So there's a lot out there. Now, they haven't all been identified, but there's probably 1 million different types of bugs out there. And if you look at my cases, you go, boy, there's a lot right
I see
there.
the tarantula.
Yeah, and the tarantula is what?
I really want to tell.
You want to touch the tarantula? This one can't get open, so you can't. But if you take the class, if I catch a tarantula this summer, I'll bring it. In one of my other classes, I bring my rat snake and my Texas crevice lizard. They're all alive. We do have one at this side view, sort of like this one. So if you wanted to build something a little different, you would do it that way. Now that's okay, but you need 3 parts, and now you need some legs. So go get some legs. Well, that's the head.
Flying ants because
Go get you some legs. I need to at least see a head, thorax, and abdomen, and I need to see 3, a total of 6 legs.
got 3 legs. Done.
That's pretty good. Go get 3 more legs like that. You need 3 more legs.
That's all for the extent.
And you're going to need, okay, there you go. That's good. And you need, David, you need 1 more pair of legs. Okay?
And wow, I don't have flying roots. A river, not regular.
Okay. What is your name again? Sarah. You need to get 1 more pair of legs. I'm treating. Okay, is this, which one's your head? That's the head, and that was your antenna?
What is
Or was that with your legs? Get 2 more legs, and I really like this because I like your big antenna. So get 2 more legs for me. Okay.
This is good.
That is okay. I want to make sure. Okay, now the important thing to learn is that your legs always go on the thorax. Okay?
Mine are on the door.
Sort of.
This type of a mouth part. Now the other common mouth part is some type of a sucking mouth part. And I think a mosquito is a very good example of an insect with a sucking mouth part. Because I think most of you have probably at one time or another have had the experience of a mosquito lighting upon your arm, and you know that it has a sharp, almost needle-like projection that it uses to pierce the skin, and then the pumping or sucking action begins, and you can actually see the abdomen swell up and turn red as it becomes engorged with blood.
So I want someone to come over here and do the mosquito for me. So you want to suck the red dye up for me? No, you're going to get to use this. Do you think you could use that? Do you know? Would you know how to do that? Have you? It's like a syringe.
Is it juice?
Hold my camera for me. Point it toward the red stuff. Okay, this is what you're going to do. This is what a mosquito does. Injects into your skin and sucks up to your blood. Can you do that for me?
What is that?
It's just red dye.
Red
So
dye.
try it with, you could, well, just don't make a mess. Like, great, thank you.
Ew.
So this is, he's doing an example. Same type of mouth parts as a plant, and the mosquito will suck that into his body. Then the mosquito can lay eggs. The female mosquito is usually the one that does that. And then you'll have more mosquitoes to go after your blood. And that's not good. Why is that not good?
Because it can suck all your blood and you can die.
Possible, but also it can give you a disease that's not very good. So if you, well, she was in line first, so can you open up your apple juice and set it up with a straw, because we're going to pretend like we're an insect. And punch it through. If you're like a plant bug, what you do is you'll stick it into the plant, and then just like she's going to drink out of her apple juice. Can you do that for me? And they will get the juice out of the plant. And what could happen to the plant? What? It will die? Right. You know, a lot of bugs are actually harmful to us. They hurt our plants and stuff, or they eat our homes. So this is an example of how they do it. They have a particular mouth part that just injects into the plant, and then, for instance, aphids are one that can really destroy a plant or make it not look healthy. So I want, okay, what is your name? Sarah did the plant bug for us.
Now there are many different types of sucking mouth parts. For example, the housefly does not have this needle-like type of mouth part, but rather it has a sponge-like affair located on the bottom side of its head, and it simply uses this to sop up, shall we say, food in liquid form, which then in turn it takes into its body. Now bed bugs and box elder bugs are other examples of insects with this type of mouth part. So I will label them.
He thinks he's
Okay.
supposed to drink it.
So it's just coloring dye for like cookies. Okay, this is a sponge. So just like this, I want you to stick it into that green gooey stuff and then just put it on the plate. And if more people want to do it, they can. So just the other way. And just set it in there. Okay, and then go ahead and put it in the plate. Okay, so that's spongy mouth parts. So what do you think has spongy mouth parts?
I can't believe it. Me too.
No, nobody has any idea. Guess what? It's a fly.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever you see a fly, what he's doing is he's flying around different places, and then he sticks that mouth and ends up doing this. So once again, a fly could have, what could it do with that? It could spread diseases too, because that fly could be anywhere.
Or it goes on your food. Will it lay eggs?
Probably not, but he's going to probably get some type of disease on that food, because this could be over here
Trash?
in the trash, or that fly could have been outside where your dog was with his dog poop. And then he comes inside your house or during your picnic and says he's going to land on your food. So that's why you should be really careful. That's just part of the way things go. But that's the example of why his mouth part can actually carry diseases to different parts of your house. So you just shouldn't have flies in the house. Now, one more person. This is using scissors. I want you to chew the paper.
That some insects have chewing mouth parts and others have sucking mouth parts. I think the termite is a very good example of an insect with chewing mouth parts, because as you folks know, they do in fact feed on wood, and they do this very much the same way that you and I eat our breakfast or a cow eats grass, because termites do have jaws. The only difference is that their jaws work sideways, whereas ours work up and down. But with their jaws, and these are called mandibles, they bite off pieces of their food, in this case wood or some other form of cellulose. They chew it up and take it into their body. Cockroaches and powder post beetles are other examples of insects with this type of...
With the scissors. No, it's your turn. Can you do that for me?
It'll chew it. Chew it.
This is David, I remember.
Chew, chew.
So chew, chew, chew. And chop it up into pieces for me, like an insect would.
Just go chew on it.
There you go.
Just go like make sounds.
Cut.
Like
Now cut it more pieces.
anywhere in the paper.
No, cut this in more pieces. Pretend like you're going to eat it next. What would you need to do to it?
Kill it.
Yeah, you probably are killing it slowly.
Nice idea. Nice idea.
So that's a chewing mouth part. A lot of insects, like the grasshoppers and stuff, have that type of mouth part. They're called mandibles. And if you ever collected a grasshopper and kept it alive, you'd just see all these different parts working, manipulating that food and churning it up and stuff. So we have a really good example of the way insects eat. Yes?
What do grasshoppers eat?
Well, they like to eat plants and stuff, so they like to eat leaves and things like grass. When you have locusts, they're like a grasshopper. They just will fly in on your crops, and there won't be any more of the corn or anything out there in the fields anymore.
Story?
Exactly like the Bible story. So that's how, so we have chewing mouth parts. We have the sponging. The sponging is like what? When the insect? Flies. And what type of insects? Sort of mosquitoes. And then you got plant bugs. So y'all got all that figured out?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to have you do something because I'm going to check out your memory. So what I want y'all to do
is a chewing mouth part, and this is the sucking mouth part. Now, the way that insects grow is commonly referred to as metamorphosis. I think the Indian needle moth is a real good example of an insect with a complete metamorphosis. And this simply means that the adult insect lays eggs, And these in turn hatch into tiny worm-like creatures known as larvae. Now these larvae continue to grow and develop. They do this by periodically casting or shedding their skins. And each time they do this, they become larger. And each one of these growth stages is referred to as an installer. Now eventually, when this larva is full grown, then it enters into a pupa stage, and it is from this pupa stage that the moths emerge and the females lay more eggs for another generation. Now there are quite a number of insects that have this type of metamorphosis, including the flies and the beetles and the bees and the wasps. And all insects of this type, the larvae, of which I am coloring here, may live in an entirely different environment than does the adult insect. Likewise, the pupa may be found in still a different environment. Also, there may be a change in mouth parts. And I think this is a very good example because the mouth parts of the larvae of the Indian beetle moth are chewing, whereas the mouth parts of the adult are sucking. And this then is what we call a complete metamorphosis. And now the other common way that insects grow is referred to as a gradual metamorphosis. And I think the cockroach is a real good example of an insect with a gradual metamorphosis. Cockroaches, as you probably know, lay eggs several in capsule form, but each one of these eggs hatch into a tiny roach called a nymph. Now this little roach looks very much like its parents, except that it is smaller. As a matter of fact, it bears about the same resemblance to its parents as our children bear to us. And it likewise grows by periodically casting its skin until eventually it simply matures into a full-grown roach. Now, with insects of this kind, the whole family usually lives together and feeds in the same environment. Likewise, the mouth parts are always the same in the young as they are in the adult. And if the adult is to have wings, and cockroaches do, then these little wings are developed externally as the nymphs mature until such time when the nymph is full grown, then it has its complete wings. And this then is what we commonly refer to as a gradual metamorphosis. I have mentioned that
You can find
Okay.
Stop rolling.
So now I want you to look at things and discuss what the legs, like, okay, look at this one. Okay, tell me what you see there.
3 legs? No, I see 5, 6. I see
6.
6.
And then what is that top thing up there that's on the head? What is that called? And then that's the antenna. So it can be sometimes confusing. So y'all understand that that's an antenna. Do you see the antenna? Point to the antenna on this one here.
All those things.
The little ones, they're only about an
I
inch.
love these magnets.
And look at this, the antenna on this one. It's very small.
I see that one. Looks like a stick.
Okay, on this one here, what do you see?
come